Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Praetor Magic. My name is DM Cross, and this is our live podcast here on Monday nights. I'm joined, as always, by Phyrexian Walker. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. My only job right now is these streams, so it's pretty fantastic.
It's
Just until July 31st.
not
All
even
I
that
have to
much of
do.
a job.
I know. That's why it's so great.
Oh, I
I
just
mean, there's
realized.
also the being a husband and father thing, but that's secondary to this,
Well, I
obviously.
mean, those are privileges, not jobs.
Yeah, you say that when your 2-year-old's potty training.
I'm,
It's
when
tough.
your 2-year-old's potty training, I've lived this life
I know.
for like 6 years, my dude.
I know. It's awful, isn't it?
Anyway, I realized that I just now realized I didn't say the name of the podcast. It's Reflections of the Councils. I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
Wow. I didn't realize you didn't say it either.
I went through it so fast, and then I was like, there was a gap somewhere. What was the
Don't
gap
forget to
for?
also say that we're sponsored by Ink Gaming. Your game, your style.
Oh wow. Why do I even show up? You're gonna do it all.
I don't know.
Anyway, you can use that link down in the video description or audio description below. That is our affiliate link to Ink Gaming. Lets them know that we are the ones that sent you there and help support the channel. You can also get a little bit of a thank you discount off. It's 10% off with our Praetor10 coupon code. That's Praetor10. One of these days, I'm gonna not say things badly, but today is not that day. So,
Yeah, well.
with that out of the way, another set just came out. Kind of feels like we say that often around here because it seems like sets are just constantly coming out. But here we are, and it was the Core 2020 set. And last week we talked about the legendary creatures of the set, which was pretty exciting. There's the legendary creatures are definitely really cool for the set. Say nothing about the rest of the cards in the set. The legendary creatures were pretty awesome for a commander. So.
Yeah, I like the legendary creatures a lot.
Yeah. So today we're gonna run through just our favorite cards. We're not gonna be able to do a full set review because we ain't got that kind of time. That's the simple truth.
Yeah.
If we ever wanted to do a set review, there is 279 cards in this set that are not the commanders, and we just ain't got that kind of time. Plus, a lot of these cards are reprints. It's a core set.
Yeah.
One of the things that they do for core sets is they kind of just establish certain baseline cards like murder, for instance, and unsummon, are cards that kind of just exist in every set or so. So we don't have to really talk about them because we all kind of have feelings about them, I guess. But there are some cool cards for Commander.
There's some cool cards in general.
Yep. And for some reason, I decided that I did not want to be prepared and have my first card up. But I got it up now. And the first card I want to talk about, Agent of Treachery. And this is not a card that I think goes in every deck, but when I saw this, the first thing I thought was, is this something to put in like my Aminato deck that I want to build or something like that? It is a 7 mana human rogue rare for 5 blue. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards, and it's a 2/3. Aminato loves this because it's something that you can flicker, steal something, flicker again, steal something, flicker again, steal something. And there's a few other effects like this already in the deck. Perplexing Chimera is in the deck, and a couple other ones that you just basically steal people's stuff over and over again. And the downside of it is that it's 7 mana. So it's a lot of mana, but you don't lose control when Agent of Treachery dies. That's a big thing. A lot of control effects, like if you lose control of the thing with the control effect, like Royal Elemental is the first thing that comes to mind. Landfall, you take control of something, but if you lose Royal Elemental, all the things go back to whoever owns them. So I don't know. This seems like it would be good in a couple of decks like this. I don't like that the art looks very much like that's a ninja, and then they put human rogue on here. Yeah. Wizards, come on.
I definitely agree with New Dark Cloud. There were 2 commanders I really thought of this with, and one was Brago, and then the other was Grixis Marchesa. two commanders that I instantly thought of when I saw this card. Just because Brago, I play Brago obviously for 3DH, and
Yeah.
he does the flickery thing, and that ETB is pretty powerful if you just keep on, and you're gonna hit that the 3 permanents you don't own pretty quickly, even if you're just running this card on a Brago deck. Then Marchesa, the Grixis Marchesa, just with the ability to steal things and
Yeah.
keep them with 1/1 counters. There are people who build it that way, so this would just be a card that would go well in that kind of Marchesa build if that's the way you build it.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
get counters on agent and then sacrifice it and then it comes back and then you get to steal
Yeah.
something else and you just keep doing the same thing. It's
Yeah.
similar to Brago, just a little bit more hoops for a Marchesa deck.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the two commanders I really thought about when I saw it as could go in. 7 is a lot,
Yeah.
but it is a pretty powerful effect, especially if you can find a way to recur it.
I do note that in, like we said, Marchesa, Aminato, and Brago, those are all decks that tend to have like a decent amount of a ramp package. Marchesa just in the sense of it's got black in it. Aminato has black in it, and then Brago because of the way you can like flicker your mana rock, so you tend to get just a lot of mana in general. So 7 mana shouldn't be like super crazy in any of these decks.
Or you've got like Core Cartographer and stuff like that in Brago too.
Yeah,
True.
yeah, that's very true.
Some nonsense like that where you can flicker and just get more lands. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was my first one. What's yours?
Oh, I'll just go with Rotting Regisaur.
Oh god, this card. I just realized what it was.
I mean, this is a card that a lot of people see. It's like it's 2 and a black for a zombie dinosaur. It's a 7/6. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. And a lot of people see that like, well, that sucks. Every turn you're losing a card.
Mm.
Any good black player knows that putting cards in your graveyard is putting cards in your second hand. And there's so many ways to abuse this effect with reanimate, animate dead, victimize. There are just a ton of ways to abuse it. And it's just a giant 7/6 to beat some face with, or
Yeah.
attempt to. I mean, it doesn't have trample or anything. If you're playing Golgari, you can give it trample pretty easily too. So I mean, it's just a big 7/6 for 3 that has the upside of being able to put cards in your second hand, like if you're playing a more reanimator style deck. So I kind of like this card. Yeah, John says Madness Dino.
The first thing I thought about, because they were in the same set together, was turn 3, you play this. Maybe turn 2, because in Commander we try to ramp out as fast as we can.
Yeah.
The next turn, you discard Villas, the new mono black demon. If he's not your commander, obviously. But you discard Villas and then reanimate it. And then you have a turn 3 or 4 Villas. And I'm like, that's so cool. A lot of people crapped on this for like limited and standard, and I guess, right? Like, I guess in those formats, it's not great because there's not that much reanimation really in the set right now. In standard right now. But for our, shenanigans, it's pretty easy to bring stuff back.
I would 100% agree. This is a terrible card in limited, and it's not great in standard. It's bad in standard and absolutely horrible in limited. Don't even think about playing this in limited, because it will just before it becomes an actual threat, it will just get murdered.
Yeah,
they'll chump block for a couple turns and then they'll murder it before it becomes an actual threat. So I wouldn't play this in limited, but in Commander, or I don't know, maybe some other reanimator style decks could try to play it.
You think like modern dredge decks or something would like it, because you could discard a dredge card, right?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about modern dredge to make that call.
that's fair.
I played Infect in the wonderful Tron in modern.
Ah, you're a Tron player.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Infect and Tron, man.
Why aren't you like halfway decent person? Alright, so for
Can't answer that.
nobody can answer that. So for my next card, it's actually rare to see a lot of these. Well, I guess not. I was gonna say it's kind of rare that core set planeswalkers are typically like super cool, super like popular. Obviously the planeswalker deck ones, speaking of, there's 5 this time. There's 1 per mono color. And then I do want to talk about though the one that's in the set for Ajani, Strength of the Pride, because I love his bottom ability. Are you upset?
I'm upset.
All right.
Just
Well,
started with him, I guess.
so just to be clear, I am actually just going down the list in alphabetical order. So if your list is not in alphabetical order, that's you should adapt. So he is a mythic planeswalker. He costs 2 white, white, comes in with 5 loyalty. His +1 is you gain life equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of planeswalkers you control, which is interesting for Super Friends decks. His -2 is to create a this is really cool too. I
This
like
is what
this.
I wanted to talk about.
His
His
-2 is to create a 2/2 white cat soldier creature token named Ajani's Pridemate with when you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Ajani's Pridemate. He's the first planeswalker that just makes a creature that exists as a token.
Yeah, he makes a magic card.
That's so cool. But then the thing that I really like about him is his ult, quote unquote, because he doesn't have like a minus, 10 million or whatever. His 0 ability is if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, exile Ajani, Strength of the Pride, and each artifact and creature your opponents control, which is a massively powerful thing and not too hard to get to. 15 life over 40 for decks that are dedicated to gaining life is not going to be super crazy. So, especially his +1, if you're running it in a token deck anyway, you could potentially put this down, gain that much life, and then next turn ult him and wipe everybody's field.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really strong card. Ajani's been getting some really good cards lately, I feel like.
Yeah, I do too. Deserves it too. He's a beautiful cat man.
But alright, you go off about this magic card token making thing. You think
Well,
they're gonna do this a lot?
this set is very focused on lifelink, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if they're gonna keep doing off the making
like actual cards.
actual cards, like planeswalkers make actual cards. That'd be interesting. I mean, you definitely have enough where you have like the Liliana's this or the Garrick's this or the Nisa's this, so they could definitely go off of it and make them. But like in the past, the closest you got was Nisa's ability where she like searched out
Oh
Nisa's
yeah.
chosen, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the closest you've got in the past is like one that searches out the card from your deck with their ability, but it's just like makes it. It's like, hey, here's a Pride Mate. There's a Pride Mate. Here's another Pride Mate. Keep Pride Mating. And then you can run Pride Mate in your deck too if you really want to.
I mean, if you're gonna go for theme, then I guess that's the right thing to do. I will say that when we had the last core set, we had the Elder Dragons and Nicol Bolas's card was a transform into a Planeswalker card, and then right before core sets came back, we had Origins, which felt like a core set, and it was all the monocolored Planeswalkers that were more, that are more popular: Nissa, Jace, Liliana, Gideon, and Chandra. And they were transform cards as well. I was a little surprised that we didn't see that happen this set. So we don't have like a Ajani pre-spark then transform into its planeswalker form. And I feel like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity.
But were they actually called Llanowar Elves, John?
Which one?
He's saying like Freyalise?
No, they weren't called Llanowar elves. They were just
That's
elf
what they
tokens. But
essentially were.
yeah, it's the closest probably thing. I don't know. Were Llanowar elves? Are they druids? Because I think Fred at least
They
makes
put a
druids.
1/1 green elf druid creature token onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't the actual card name.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've ever seen a token get made of a card that was made. At least as far as I know.
Like has the same name, ability, everything.
Yeah.
I get it was an Elvish Mystic, Fenhorn Elves, Llanowar Elves, whatever, whichever one drop 1/1 elf you want to say, but it didn't have the name.
All right. Well, what's your next one? Let's keep it rolling. You're
Let's
trying
talk
to
about
alphabetize your list, aren't you?
only a little bit. I'm just gonna talk about Lotus Field.
Oh,
I think it's a really cool land.
I think you're really cool, man. Go ahead.
So Lotus Field is a land, and it has hexproof, which is interesting. Because I don't think someone find it if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's been another land with hexproof. Is there?
I can't think of one.
It does enter the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice 2 lands. but then you add 3 mana of any one color.
Hmm.
So this kind of goes back to, what is it, Lotus Grove or Lotus? Like there was another Lotus land,
Lotus Veil.
Lotus Vale.
Yeah.
So it kind of harkens back to that card, but it's like a better version of that card, right?
Sure.
Well,
It's
see, if it you have to sacrifice it unless you sacrifice 2 untapped lands. So like on this card, you could like play turn 2, play a Rampant Growth or a Farseek or something,
mhm,
and then play Lotus,
Veil. Our field. Yep.
field, and sacrifice both those lands,
Yeah.
and then you got this. And it has hexproof, so you aren't gonna just get got by a Ghost Quarter or a Strip Mine or something.
I think in mono, I don't know, because so turn 1 land, turn 2 rampant growth. Well, turn 2 land, then rampant growth, right? Then turn 3 this. Then you still have 3 mana on turn 3.
No, you have 4.
No, you had to sacrifice the 2 lands.
Yeah, but you got the other land with the Rampant Growth or the Farseek. So you had 3 lands.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You'd have 4 and then 5 on turn 3
I
if
guess
you
so.
have a land drop.
So it's kind of like a different variation of a bounce land, except you don't get to bounce and replay the land.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think just the fact that it has hexproof, because all the times, like, I mean, it was even a talk on our last little 3H game about targeting my Azorius Chancery with Ghost Quarter the second it's played. And it's like,
Yeah,
well, that would suck.
to take you off tempo.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, but you get Lotus Field, right? That can't happen because that's hexproof.
That's true.
So I just thought was in particular, I like the hexproof factor more than anything else, because a lot of times when you play lands like this, then you can get got, but with the hexproof, it kind of protects from that.
Yeah. DB Cross also does make a very good point. Lotus Veil is a reserve list card. And I mean, we've kind of seen this a little bit recently where they're willing to do functional reprints of cards that they have said they will never reprint, which is a reserve list. So, isn't Gaia's Cradle on the reserve list too? And we have now,
Growing rights.
yeah, Growing Rights of Itlamot,
And
which
then
is
Valerian Academy is,
Yep.
and we have
Yeah.
the Storm the Vaults.
So they've been kind of doing this a little bit on and off. At the very least, they're functionally reprinting very expensive cards. Whether the other 2 that we just named were reserve list cards or not, off the top of my head, I can't remember. They are at least doing functional reprints of very good effects and just changing them a little bit. I mean, Lotus Field is a little bit more direct, as opposed to like Storm the Vault and Growing Rights of Itlamont being enchantments for the land having to transform into lands. This is just a legit land. It's much closer to Lotus Veil than the other 2. So yeah, I mean, and then I agree with DB Cross, and I would like to see them continue this kind of thing, and just because those are also powerful effects. I like powerful cards, so the more you're willing to do stuff like that, the happier I am.
Fire away, Seth. Where are we going next?
We're gonna stop playing Magic for a second, and we're gonna go play D&D. Because we're gonna talk about the most iconic item in all of D&D. It's called Bag of Holding, but now it's a card. This is a dumb card.
It is a dumb card. Why are we talking about it?
Because I like it. No, this is actually, like, it's dumb in a good way. So this is a 1 mana rare artifact. Whenever you discard a card, exile a card from your graveyard. For 2 and tap, you draw a card, then discard a card, which would then get exiled. And for 4 and tap, sacrifice Bag of Holding. Return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. I think this is a cool card. I think there are some decks that are going. It kind of feels like Graveyard Protection a little bit. For all the graveyard hate that has been constantly printed in Standard lately, even when graveyard strategies,
even with a set, admittedly, yes.
Even when graveyard strategies have not been rampant in Standard for like a little while now. Like Golgari decks were strong, like mid-range Golgari was strong a couple sets ago, but it wasn't Reanimator style. Like reanimation hasn't been a big thing in Standard, but they have been printing the grave hate. Oh my god. Whew. But I don't know. I just like this whole thing, and the fact that it's like discard and not just it's not complete protection, because if you have things die, it's not going to get exiled or whatever. So it's kind of like you just put it away for a minute. Like, hey, your looter effects. I think this is going to go in a lot of red decks.
maybe.
It's also recursion in that sense too. You loot something away, you can get it back later, which if it's not
It
an
can
artifact,
be.
red struggles with.
It can be granted, but it can also be you loot, you loot, you loot. You have those 3 cards exiled, and then somebody just blows this up.
I mean, but if they use your removal on Bag of Holding as opposed to, I can only imagine the million of other
I
better
mean, but they
artifacts.
see the cards you're exiling, so
Yeah.
it would be like a judgment call to them of based on the cards you've exiled with Bag of Holding, do I really want you to get those cards back? And it could definitely be worth it. You could essentially be getting like 5-for-1 with a Croson Grip or something like that.
Yeah, but because
That's
it's
the reason I don't like. I like the looting on the card, but I don't like.
yeah.
I guess I don't like the fact that it goes into exile just because it feels like you're gonna get got a lot
But
trying to use this card.
because we're specifically
Or even if
using
it's just like an austere command effect, where it's like I'm destroying all artifacts and this happens to be one of them. And
yeah.
well,
Yeah. But because we're talking about like looting effects specifically, you're still getting something out of that effect. You're not
you
losing
are.
like it's not we're not saying like, oh, let's put it in decks where you basically discard a card and that's the whole spell. That's the whole effect. Cuz then that would kind of suck. But
I
nobody really
get
runs
that you're
effects
getting
like that.
something by looting, but at the same time, like to me, I'd almost rather that card go in my graveyard.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me being,
Again, it depends on what it is and how the deck plays. Because again, if we're talking about red decks or even white decks, they don't have always the best recursion for things that aren't artifacts or aren't part of like combos, Revel Arc and
yeah.
shit like that. Or Sun
But
Titan
you're
only
also not really
gets
talking about recursion because you're talking about putting things in your hands you've never played before. Because you're discarding them from.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
You're
I
not
get
really
what you're
talking
saying.
about recurring it. You're just talking about keeping it from something happening to it before you want to put it back in your hand and see if you can play it and what
Well, it's
happens to
part
it.
of the cost of drawing cards when
Yeah.
we're talking about looting effects. So I get what you're saying, but yeah, it
I get overall it can be I mean it is card advantage, which is the looting effect, and it can be even more as long as it survives to the point that you actually want to use the ability. My worry
mm,
is that it's just going to be the looting effect, and the looting effect into exile doesn't seem particularly powerful to me. In certain decks, it's probably good, but
yeah. I just think it's a cool effect, and it's something that, again, like getting close to it being a D&D staple on a Magic card, I think that's also super cool. If we were to start seeing like common D&D items as, I mean, you could always argue that a lot of the artifacts that we play with already could be magical items from D&D, but or like we've had wands a lot lately. There was the Chaos wand a few sets back, I think in Dominaria.
yeah,
And then I think there's a wand in this set, or there was one in Modern Horizons. I can't remember because
there's a wand in this one.
we get back to back sets nowadays. I didn't say it, but I said it. But stuff like that, right? Like, so those are kind of D&D ish. So I kind of like stuff like that. I like crossover stuff.
That's fair.
Well, then what are you excited about, huh?
Let's talk about shared summons.
Ooh,
I actually think this card's just stupid.
then you're stupid. All right, go ahead.
Shared summons is for 3 and 2 green,
Mhm.
and it just says you may search your library for creature cards. Or does it say up to?
Up to.
Up to 2 creature cards. With different names, reveal them and put them in your hand and shuffle your library. I think just in Commander, this is so stupid because there are so many 2 creature combos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this basically just says this card just says tutor up your 2 creature combo to do your 2 creature combo. So basically, any deck that's playing green has access to this card and can instantly tutor up their 2 creature combo. So if you're playing Simic and you want to be the person playing Deadeye Navigator and Peregrine Drake, then you can just play this card and tutor them up. If you're in Simic, you're probably also running Leyline of Anticipation or Vidalcan Armory or Alchemist Refuge to give things flash, so you can do this at end of turn. Or no, it's an instant anyway.
Yeah,
Oops,
hey,
I
I was about to
didn't
say
say
it's an
that.
instant.
Gosh, that's even worse.
Well,
So you can just do
define
this
worse.
anyway. The end of, well, it's a better card, but it's worse for like the. I thought this would for sure be a sorcery.
Nope.
But yeah, no instant. Here it comes, bam! Those 2 creatures, and then
Yeah.
If you do it when nobody has responses, you basically just have a card that says, "Pay 5 mana, set yourself up to win the game on your next turn."
Yeah, provided nobody encounters
Nobody
or
has
anything.
responses or has mana or stuff, but you can wait to play this card in Commander. You can just
Oh
wait,
yeah.
like hold
Oh
it,
yeah.
hold it, hold it. Okay, everybody's tapped out. Let's go.
Plus in
I
green,
need
where
this
you're
much
gonna
mana to
have
set up my 2 creature combo, and as long as I have this much mana and this card, I'm good.
plus it's in green where you're gonna ramp up a lot, so it shouldn't be super hard to get to a point where you can play this and then next turn, or play this end of turn like we were saying, and then on your turn play both of the combo pieces. Like it shouldn't be
Well,
hard to have enough mana to pull it off, or
I
even
hope they
have
have
a
a
little extra mana up
force of will
for
or something.
counters.
Yeah.
Then force of will. I
They
mean,
better hope they have a force of will or pact of negation or something. Because if someone is resolving this card, I just see it as like,
yeah,
if I'm resolving this card on end of turn, you are going to lose the next turn.
yeah. This is gonna be. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be like a competitive card, but it's gonna see a lot of
Hard to
play. I
say it'll be
think.
competitive at 5 mana, but it's going to see a lot of
Yeah.
commander play.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think for the better. Am I going to play it? Probably, but I don't think it's for the better.
I don't think for the better. Am I a horrible person who's gonna play it
Am I a
anyway?
horrible
You're
person
right.
who's going to do it because it's a good thing to do and it's good magic? Yeah, I'm going to do it. But is it a good thing for the format? I'm not so sure.
Are you
Just because,
going to feel
like,
bad about
within
it?
Commander, there are so many 2 card combos. So many 2 card creature combos that you can set up with this card.
Are you gonna feel bad about it when you play and combo it?
Probably feel a little bit bad, but still good because I
I
will have
don't think
won if it happens.
so. I don't believe you.
Well, you shouldn't because I'm lying. But I'll feel bad for you guys that you weren't smart enough to make sure you had Ben up to stop me from doing it. How about that?
It's turn 5. We should still be setting up. It's not even the mid game yet.
It might be turn 5. It might be turn 8 or 9. You don't know.
That's true. That is true.
Also saying it's also pretty cheap at the moment, which I don't get because like this card just seemed broken to me the second I looked at it.
I don't know. I think core sets tend to have like lower costs because the overall value of the set is typically lower. Like unsummon is in this set. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's fair.
unsummon and what was it like giant growth and stuff like that are in this set. So I think a lot of this is like a lot of the lower prices just in general of this set are due to just the lower value, the expected value from like getting a box or something like that.
Hey, what do you got next?
So when we talk about recursion, as we tend to, given the kind of cards that we like to play, we don't typically think of mono white recursion, but that's interesting because of cards like Brought Back, which is a rare instant for white. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped. I like cards like this. I like cards that are a little bit not 100% off color because white does have some recursion in it, as we were talking a little bit about before, like Sun Titan stuff like that. But I like that
What
it's
is
any
very
2
white?
target permanents.
Because
Can
they
be
also have second sunrise and
yeah.
that nonsense in white.
They also just have blatant resurrection, like the
Yeah.
spell resurrection. It's like 4 mana and just bring a creature back. I like that it's a little conditional, so it does have to be something that was destroyed this turn, but it's not conditional in the sense that it's target permanent. So you could potentially be the jerk who Armageddon's and then has 2 mana up and plays it, or like floats some mana and then plays this so that you can bring your 2 lands back and continue the game with some mana already out. But like people were when this got previewed, people on Twitter were
But even
talking
you have
about.
3 mana, because you do it, have some mana floating, have not made your land drop for the turn.
Oh yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
You do it having 3 mana up after this.
So people were talking about like you could even just couple this with like what do you call it? Fetch lands.
Yeah.
I don't think that's probably the best way to use this. I could be crazy, maybe. I don't know. If you
I don't think it is.
like, do you hold double fetch lands unless you're also in green and getting multiple land drops? That's the only reason why I could see that being super good. But even like because a lot of people tend to wait till somebody else's turn to crack them anyway. But I don't know. That it doesn't seem like the best use of your time. But I do like the idea of somebody board wiping and you getting some value back. You get the rebuild first. That's always me one of the best parts of a board wipe is when I can rebuild a little bit faster than everybody else, and this kind of helps. And it's so cheap, 2 mana.
I like this for the same reason, that reason, and I've always liked cards like Heroic Intervention or Last Stand or cards like that where it just makes things indestructible. Inspiring Call for your creatures 1/1 counters.
Yeah.
Anything that just like you can have up in response to a board wipe because mono white needs all the help it can get, and this just seems like a good mono white card to play.
Yeah. Especially because mono white is also the one that's going to board wipe the most, right? So
Yeah, or
it kind
even
of speaks
even if you're
to.
playing with your own board wipe, yeah.
Mhm. All right, you up?
Okie dokie. Let's talk about U Yanling Sky Dancer.
Oh God.
So this is a planeswalker for 1 and 2 blue, and the +2 is until your next turn, up to one target creature gets -2/-0 and loses flying, kind of like the protection effect that a lot of blue planeswalkers have.
Yep.
The -3 is create a 4/4 blue elemental bird creature token with flying. Another protection effect is you could drop a creature, but you can't do it on the first turn because it only starts with 2 loyalty. And the -8 is you get an emblem with islands you control have tap, draw a card.
This is the most stupid blue thing I've ever seen. When they previewed this, I was like, no, that ult can't work the way I think it works. It's got to be like islands have, if you tap like 3 of them, you could draw a card or something like that. No?
It's hard to ult though. I mean,
Yeah.
it turns.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those cards that fails the doubling season test either. It doesn't ult when doubling season comes out. It only have 4 if you had a doubling season out, so it still take you 3 turns.
Yeah.
So without like Oath of Teferi or some nonsense like that to get it done faster, but there are ways to do it faster, obviously. But just as it's built, it takes 4 turns to get there.
So I do want to real quick go back to when we were talking about Ajani. John in the chat had asked, would you let people play Ajani as your commander? Because that's the thing that we kind of talk about every once in a while as Praetor Magic, not just Frex and I, but because like I'm big that Planeswalkers should just be allowed as commanders. For the Ajani one, yeah, I probably would, even though it is kind of a board wipe on a stick.
They're commanders, they're board wipes on sticks. Look at
Yeah,
Massacre Girl.
yeah, exactly. So for this, I probably would be fine with it unless the I don't know. It would have to be a call probably based on the deck because I think the ult is a little bit crazy. Even though it doesn't like detract from the game, that's always the big thing. Like it's does the planeswalker being in the command zone detract from the fun of the game? I don't think this super does because it probably is kind of hard to protect itself unless you are just like mono blue like stacks or something or like locks. But I think I'd probably let somebody play this as commander.
Yeah. I think I agree with Kraus. Johnny would annoy me more.
Yeah, because
That
of the
card.
ult ability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
ult, quote unquote. Because you could just play it and then zero it and then play it and zero it. You don't have to once you get to that life requirement.
yeah. I mean, why are you letting people gain 15 life if you can see what their commander can do anyway?
Well, I'll
Eh,
try.
well,
They're
dude.
probably also running some of those horrible cards like Ghostly Prison and Sphere of Safety and
First of
Windborn
all,
Muse. And
stop it. We don't talk about that on this
sorry, if they're
podcast.
playing that commander in a life gain deck, and they should be expecting you to be getting hit. They should be kind of playing some of that other stuff too. Probably Blind Obedience and Authority of the Councils too, just for good measure. Does gain
Yeah.
life and slow your opponents down from hitting you. I mean,
Ugh.
I've already built this deck. See,
This might work in Oathbreaker. That's a good point. I
yeah,
don't
it
know what
might.
the signature spell would be. Probably.
Cyclonic Rift.
I don't know, cause oh yeah, I guess you can over. Well, don't forget if you overload it and it's your signature spell, you still have to pay the 2 more each time.
Yeah.
So 9 mana Cyclonic Rift is very different from 7 mana Cyclonic Rift. I don't know. I don't know what the signature spell would be for something like this. Maybe just something that makes tokens or like a washout effect. Washout would probably actually be pretty good, or evacuation to just protect your planeswalker.
Yeah, I think Washout probably over Evacuation.
Well, evacuation is everybody's creature, right? Washout is pick a color.
Well, yeah, Washout's pick a color. So if you're going mono blue, then you can try to get around picking blue most of the time.
Yeah, but if you're, I don't know, it's kind of like having a mono white planeswalker and just having Wrath of God. You don't really care because your commander's a planeswalker. So you just care about protecting your commander to do your thing. Unless it's for some reason it's creature based, but
No,
I don't
Kraus
know.
says new flow tiers and stay on theme. Hold on, Kraus. We'll get there, maybe.
We're going. So,
What's your next card, Mr. DM Kraus?
it's
Mr.
actually
DM
5
Kraus?
cards. So which Cavalier do you like the most?
None of them.
What? Oh, I know why you don't like them.
Why don't I like him, Seth?
Because of the devotion. Blah, blah, blah. I want to cry about everything.
Yes.
Alright, well, we're going to go for the black one because we all know that the black one has to be the best one because it's black. So the Cavaliers are a set of... It's a cycle, I should say, of these Elemental Knights. They all have the same converted mana cost, just the colors are changed, so they're all 2 XXX. So for Cavalier of Night being the black one, it's 2 black, black, black. This one is a lifelinking 4/5. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. When you do, destroy target creature an opponent controls. When it dies, return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is shenanigans right here, especially in a mono black deck, or even a black green, black blue, like black X deck. This is just shenanigans on a stick. I love this one.
I can see this like being like, bring it in, sacrifice Plague Crafter. When it dies, Plague Crafter comes back. Nonsense like that.
See, it's not all bad.
Yeah, but I don't like the fact that they're all pretty to very unplayable in anything other than a monocolored deck.
So real quick, we'll just try to cycle through these to just say what they do at least.
Tablet of Dawn
Yeah.
is Vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 colorless golem creature. And when Tablet of Dawn dies, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna misspell Cavalier at least once. Cavalier of Gales is a flying 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order, which is kind of interesting. Sets up miracles. And when it dies, shuffle it into its owner's library, then scry 2. So that's also pretty cool. This one is hard to kill. And you want to do the red one since we already did black?
Cavalier of Flame?
Yep.
So for 1 or red, creature you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. So, you know, attack Anthem and haste. And whenever it enters the battlefield, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. So a little bit of looting effect for red. And then when Cavalier Flame dies, it does X damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control, where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. You can kind of set it up with the, discard draw effect maybe if you have a few lands, and then get a nice little Pyroclasm effect when it dies.
Yeah, I do like the idea of this for like a Lord Windgrace deck. I think the triple red though would be hard because at least when I did Lord Windgrace, red was my weakest color.
Yeah.
So I think that might be hard, but there's mana fixing for Commander. And then the last one is Cavalier.
There's always Gilded Lotus, I guess, but
yeah. Cavalier of Thorns
that new
is
land we talked about.
Yeah.
Wink.
Cavalier of Thorns is a 5/6 with reach. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put a land card from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your graveyard. When it dies, you may exile it. If you do, put another target card from your graveyard on top of your library. I think this is the worst one.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones are... I don't want to say recurable, like they're built-in recursion, but they are at least capable of being recurred, whereas this one, like, to get the full effect, you have to exile it. And I know green has, like, Rift Sweeper and stuff like that, but, like, then you're just jumping through hoops for this one effect. Yeah, DB Cross says that the red one is really cool in Felden. I like the red one in general. I like the activated haste.
I think the red and black are the best.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Green is the worst. The white is kind of meh. I mean, it's nice to be able to destroy any non-land permanent. I guess giving them a golem's not a huge deal.
Does the white one go into like Enchantress decks where because it's recursion?
You can return the artifact or enchantment. Yeah, maybe.
That's the only thing I can think of that would, because white has artifact decks in general tend to take care of themselves for recursion, so I don't think they need this as a way. And again, like the Cavalier of Gales, I think can be kind of cute if you're running, again, going back to a Minato, if you're running like a Miracle-based deck, you can kind of set up your next 2 Miracles if you want.
That and the Gales is the only one with true evasion built in on it.
Oh, because that's flying, you're right.
Because it's flying, it's a big 5/5 flyer for 5.
That's true.
So
And it draws your cards. Yeah, or
I'd probably
it's.
say in my ranking, red, black, then blue, then white, then green.
I think black's more abusable than red, so I think I would just switch red and black
Hmm.
in the end. Because black, I think it does more of what black already abuses anyway, so it's just an easily exploitable tool, personally. But yeah, overall, the Cavaliers are not like, I don't think they're going to be staple cards by any stretch of the imagination. I do think that the triple colored mana hurts them for more color based decks, like more diverse color decks. But for the monocolors, I again, the Cavalier of Night I think is going to be pretty good in mono black decks. I don't
I
know
think
if.
red Cavalier can be pretty good in red decks too, so that's kind of
Yeah,
why I said.
yeah, I agree with that. All right, so you go ahead, you do
Alright,
you.
well, while we're doing cycles, we might as well cycle through some ley line.
Oh yeah, which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about the new ones, I guess. Since there are 3 of them that are same old, and then there are the new ones. Let's just talk about the new green one, I guess.
Leyline of Abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't even have it up on screen. Oh yeah, look at me go.
Good. So, if Leyline of Abundance is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield, which is what all the Leylines say.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. And then for 6 and 2 green, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like it.
it it makes I've always been a fan of fetching out lands in terms of ramp as opposed to just mana dorks. Mana dorks can be good for the early game, but the later on the game goes, I feel like they just don't give you enough. Slash, you get set back harder with board wipes. So like even mana rocks, if I can fetch out a land, I would always prefer to fetch out land. This kind of does make it a little bit more uh like makes me want to lean a little bit harder into mana dorks, I guess. Because
Yeah.
when you tap a creature for mana, so it doesn't matter if it's making any color mana, if it doesn't matter if it's making blue mana, black mana, white mana, you get the additional green. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool too.
Or
It
it could be
can,
making colorless mana.
yeah. So I think it's what are you doing? Eldrazi mana dorks?
Hey,
Color-
could I
um,
see running this in Eldrazi deck? Yes, sir, I could.
but yeah, I like the fact that it's a little bit of mana fixing in that sense. I think Elves probably loves this, especially if you can turn zero it. I think that's really good. Um,
Imagine this like a combo I thought it was like this in conjunction with Rishkar or this in
yeah.
conjunction with Cryptolith Right, like where all of a sudden all your creatures have that.
Yeah, I could
And you can
definitely
just go
see.
nuts.
I could definitely see this becoming a staple in like Rishkar decks, and using it with a lot of synergy with Cryptolith, right? So token decks in general, I guess that do run Cryptolith, right? Like Hapatra, I've always run Cryptolith, right, and Hapatra and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree. What's the next one you want to go over?
Well, let's go over Combustion.
Go ahead.
It's for 2 and 2 red, and if Leyline of Combustion is in your opening hand, put it on the battlefield. And whenever you or at least one permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, Leyline of Combustion deals 2 damage to that.
That's
Eh.
right. Touch my stuff. See what happens.
I mean, it's very red, it's very burny, and it's very meh.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then I don't like the fact that Leyline of Combustion is completely completely negated by Leyline of Sanctity. That's why I'm really down on this card. Is you literally printed Leyline of Sanctity, which gives the person hexproof, which is like the complete anti-burn card, and then you put the red Leyline as a burn card. And it's like, okay, I start with my Leyline of Sanctity. Hey, I start with my Leyline of well.
there's gonna be somebody somewhere where it's gonna be like, hey, I have, pre-game effects. Hey, so do I. The red player puts down their combustion, the white player puts down their sanctity, and the red player's like, you mother.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. But I mean, I do like the fact that they replanted Sanctity and Void and Anticipation, just because those were the kind of 3 of the more expensive ley lines. So it's nice to see them reprinting them and getting the cost down. The Sanctity is just that you have hexproof, and Leyline of the Void is it's
Awful.
anti-graveyard. Hey, if an opponent would put an opponent's card from anywhere, exile it instead. And then the Leyline of Anticipation is you just can cast spells as if they have flash.
This one excited me because I don't own one and I would like to get my hands on one. But the Leyline of the Void, again, it's just.
They're putting a lot of graveyard hate. I'm not gonna lie. Because they also printed Graphic Digger's Cage in this set.
Yep.
So it's like you're printing a lot of hate for the graveyards here.
I mean, Jesus, why don't we just reprint what do you call it? Rest in Peace. Oh yeah, that's right. They just had the Gideon set come out that had Rest in Peace.
Mm.
I know, because Danny got one, and my whole friggin' Commander life is over. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
we did just have
like, even like a possible Purifying Light is in this set too, which is exile target card for a graveyard for 2 colorless. So yeah, you've got a lot of graveyard hate like printed in a set. Like I think it's really weird that's in this core set, and then there's just like not a lot of graveyard things in the core set.
Yeah. I do, New Dark Cloud in chat says it seems like they're gearing up for a Graveyard Matters set. That's possible. There's been a lot of speculation that we're going to Theros after this, or even a possibility of the Viking set that everybody's kind of been talking about for the past like year or so. The Viking set, I would imagine, does have some kind of Graveyard Matters type stuff, because Viking lore tends to have a little bit of like the undead and coming back to life and stuff like that in the lore. Theros would be an obvious shoe-in for Graveyard Matters type stuff, because I would imagine we're going there to lay Gideon to rest, and B going there to
We did just have all the undergrowth stuff too.
Yeah.
From
Ravnicus. I also kind of noticed like we did have Ultimate Masters last year, which was not just for like modern and stuff like that, right? It was a very good commander set too for graveyard players. There was a lot of graveyard stuff in Ultimate Masters. I mean, the symbol was 2 skulls for crying out loud. So maybe it's kind of like a counterbalancing. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. This is a topic for another like episode some other time. But I feel like the animator decks are just being put down more than they're ever being built up recently, because we don't get a lot of great reanimator effects, like new ones, but we keep getting like these hardcore graveyard locks. It's so easy for a card to come in and say exile the graveyard, which completely screws the reanimator player. But then now what does that person do? You know, it's not the same to me. It doesn't counterbalance.
Yeah, how do you get around like Leyline of the Void?
Yeah.
If you're a Graveyard Matters deck or anything.
What do you do when turn 12 somebody drops Rest in Peace? Or somebody waits until the city's player mills half their deck and then activates their Scavenger Grounds or hits their Bajuka Bog. That player no longer gets to play.
Removal for it, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe they're gonna go back to doing Eldrazi with the ingest and process abilities, where you could except do one that can target yourself. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, going back to this, one thing that a lot of people did notice in the set is that there are 4 Chandras. There's one that's the Planeswalker deck, obviously, and then there's a uncommon, a rare, and a mythic rare Chandra in the set. The uncommon and the rare are okay. They're not bad, but they're not, I think, what the super crazy one are. So the mythic one is Chandra Awakened Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate this card for one specific reason. Let's go over the abilities first. It is a mythic Chandra. It comes in with 6 loyalty. It costs 4 red. It has a passive ability that it can't be countered, which is fine. I'm gonna jump over the plus ability, because that's the one I hate. -3, Chandra deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature, so kind of like a mini Wrath effect, which is fine. -X, Chandra Inferno deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile instead, which is fine. But it's +2. Each opponent gains an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you. Wizards. The fuck? I hate the emblem design space as it exists in Magic right now. I think it's actually one of the most infuriating things And it's also the thing that people pick up the most on when they want to hate on Planeswalker card designs in general. Not even as Planeswalkers, or I mean, not even as commanders. Like, not even that topic, but people, when they talk about Planeswalkers and they talk about the inability to interact with them, the number one complaint is emblems, because we have absolutely no way to stop emblems. And for the most part, emblems have always been an ult. So the answer has always been, well, don't let it ult. Destroy it. There's been more removal for Planeswalkers printed in the past few sets, in the past few years, really, or attack it. Planeswalkers are pretty fragile, but this is literally, you're going to have the emblem when you play this card. You cannot interact with this in any way to stop that emblem from coming out. So that puts the game.
They're gonna have at least one, and then if nobody has target removal, it's gonna have 8 loyalty. 8 loyalty is not easy to kill.
Yep.
Especially not through blockers or whatever else they have.
Yeah.
This card, I agree with you. Like I've been waiting for Wizards to print something to deal with emblems in general.
Yep.
Just like when they did the counters thing for experience counters, they eventually printed the answer to experience counters. Waiting for the answer to emblems. How do we deal with Planeswalker emblems? Because they are, and like in the past, like you said, it's like, oh, it's the you have to get it to 8 and just make sure it doesn't get to 8. What are you doing that you let this card sit around long enough to get there? And yeah, there are Super Friends decks that find ways to accelerate and make that process faster, and then you got the whole doubling season conundrum and all that nonsense. But this just like automatically when it comes in, like you said, and it'll just keep burning people and burning people and burning people.
Yeah. New Dark Clouds says that they feel like it's an anti-control card. Yeah, forcing control players onto a clock. There was also, during the Mythic Invitational, like, there was a, like, day one of it, or the first few games of it, where the game went to time, so the highest player, or the highest life player won, and that was, like, kind of shocking to some people. So I see the arguments kind of there, but still,
is this their answer to Nexus of Fate? Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. Just this to me, like,
Okay, take all the turns, but you're gonna take 1 damage every time you do. Can you survive that?
I don't know. I don't feel like it does enough to counterbalance the negative effect of just, again, the inability to do something about this. If you literally cannot do something in Magic, and it's this easy to do, because like New Dark Cloud first said, kill Chandra, then you won't have this problem. That's not the case. This is probably going to go off. I mean, it's definitely going off once. I would imagine it's going to go off at least twice, unless somebody's playing this into a bad board state, which I guess 6 mana kind of gain 8 life is a possibility.
My hope is someone has a Beast Within or a Hero's Downfall or something like that to deal with it. That's my hope. Is that somebody at the table, if this gets played in Commander, one of the 3 people has an answer to it. I don't think you're going to kill it on the first turn creatures unless the person playing it's just a moron.
Yeah. I don't think it's hyper abusable, so that's a good thing. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where, like, oh, because it could plus, the game is over. I don't think it's that crazy. Again, life gain decks in Commander can counterbalance 1 life a turn. It's just, I don't know. I hate... There shouldn't be any kind of permanent type that you just cannot deal with. I think that's silly. I've always thought emblems were silly. So, that's just my personal opinion. I get that the ultimate of a Planeswalker should feel like a big effect, but I wish we found a different way to design these things where it wasn't this thing that I cannot do anything about for the rest of the game.
I don't know that this is a board clear in most of the times, and I think a lot of the times you aren't going to be clearing the relevant things. Like, the things that are going to be the biggest threat to this card sticking around are not the things you're going to be killing with the -3.
Oh yeah, relevant to this thing? Maybe not. I mean, the fact that it hits everything, even flyers, is pretty big, because did Anger of the Gods hit flyers? Which is a 3 mana spell back from Theros, and does 3 damage to everything, and if it would die, it's exiled.
I think it was just everything. I don't think it was limited. Yeah, to each creature.
Yeah. Because, I mean, a lot of flyers tend to be like 1/1s and 2/2s. I mean, minus obviously like angels and dragons, but you kind of play this into those board states knowing what's going to happen, so that's kind of fine. I think the -3 is going to be relevant in Commander because so many utility creatures are 1/1s, 2/2s, and like 2/3s and stuff like that, or 1/3s. So I think the minus ability is actually pretty good for Commander. There's just so much value stuff that you could just get off the board. So,
Hey,
what you got?
Mystic Forge.
All right, you're gonna have to sell me on this one. Oh Jesus,
It's so good.
I
What do I
I
have to sell you on it?
I see the value in it, but why is it so good?
Dora,
Hmm? It
Weatherlight
doesn't
Captain.
it doesn't reduce the cost of it though. It just says
Yeah,
you
but
can.
everything else in Dora does. And
Yeah,
then when
but
you
like,
cast it, if you're casting it, you're drawing a card. So,
well, so explain what it does for those of us who don't see
alright,
it.
so it's Mystic Forge is this 4 colorless mana. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card, and then tap, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library.
Right. So in Jorah, I see this as kind of a get out of a hard spot where you don't have an artifact in hand, and then you look at the top and it's not an artifact, and you obviously can't start drawing into more stuff. I get that, but what if the next card's a land after
I
you've already
mean,
exiled
it's
the top card? You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like
think it's just for that case. You could have artifacts in hand and just want to look at the top and cast more artifacts to draw more cards.
eh,
Just see it as an enabler in those cases.
I again, I don't think it's bad. I just people have like when this got previewed, people exploded that it was so good. I'm like, but is it so good? It's good. It's all right. But is it so good?
I don't know. Chat, what do you guys think about this card?
I mean, Jorah. So, spoiler alert for everybody for this week. I got to write the gold and colorless set review for EDH Rec for this set, and Mystic Forge is in there. And I mentioned like Jorah, and I think I mentioned like one other deck that I cannot remember what it was. But so I give it its due as far as like, yeah, it's gonna be good in certain decks, but I just don't see. I don't know. It's not really like super card advantage or anything. It's not super tricky. It's not reduction. It doesn't discount. It doesn't. It enables you a little bit. So, so New Dark says that needs the right deck doesn't seem like the best thing on earth. Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, don't get me wrong. I see it working out well in some situations, especially in the right deck, or not even just in some situations, but in most situations in the right deck. But I can only think of maybe like 5 of those decks. If it, I'll tell you what, if it had said pay 1 life, put the top card on the bottom, kind of like a limited scry, I think that would be even better. Even if it kept all the artifact stuff, because then it could also go in Grenzo decks. Or there's another deck that I had in mind now, I can't think of it. But you know what I mean? Like, it just straight exile the top card. No way to get it back. Only happens once. Or if you could even pay, like if it was like one and pay, like one generic and pay 1 life, and then you can exile top, then I would see why it was so good. Because then you set up the top of your deck as you need and you keep going. This is a one-time thing. Unless I guess you're untapping a lot, but then I guess it goes with Paradox Engine to keep going. But hello, Paradox Engine. Yes, we knew you were a crazy card.
Paradox Engine goes with everything.
Exactly. So like that's not super crazy, right? Like, eh, yay, it's good. It does the thing.
Yeah, well, I like it. I'm gonna put it in some decks because I'm a heavy artifact commander player too, though. So
Yeah. Well, I
I've
mean,
played
like,
Glissa, I've played Jorah, I've played Brea. I'm just a heavy artifact commander kind of guy.
also Glissa and Brea. What is the max value you get out of this? Play another artifact off top. Maybe a couple if it's artifact.
I think it's just I think smoothing out too. Like I do like the exile effect just in general to smooth out your draws.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you already know you're flat on land, you're gonna exile it. If I like that and combine it with like a Sensei's Divining Top, it becomes even stronger. Because then you're looking at the top 3 cards, then using this card to exile one of them to then draw the other 2, or to set up where you can play one of them and then draw the next one the next turn. I just like I like it just I think it fits like in that niche of like just helping you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's like a powerful combo enabler card or anything. I just think it's a card that I'll never be sad to have. If that makes sense.
New Dark said you like this, but not Bag of Holding.
Why would I like Bag of Holding more than this?
Because this is not a D&D staple. Phyrexian. Jesus. You don't even get the card back. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, New Dark Cloud. Air 5 across the internet. That's what I'm talking about.
I see what that card is, New Dark Cloud. So if I'm making the choice to use this ability, I'm making the choice that I don't want that card back.
Or do you want it back later? Because whatever you just looted off the top was better for the moment.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I'm not doing it blind. I know what I'm exiling. If I tap and pay the 1 life.
I'm about to be exiling you.
Probably lands.
Yeah.
Hopefully lands. Alright.
Alright.
Got time for a couple more here?
Couple more. And we're not even like half the way through this set. Holy crap. So the next one I want to talk about is a land card. There's been a lot of really cool land cards lately. Not land like the type, but it's a lands deck card. It's Elvish Reclaimer. This is a 1/2 for 1 green mana. It's a rare elf warrior. It gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. And for 2, tap it and sacrifice a land. Search your library for a land card and put it on the battlefield tab. Then shuffle your library. It's a land tutor on a stick.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah,
And
I like it.
It feeds into, you know, stuff, and then, you know, lands deck tend to get your lands back and stuff, and have more land drops and stuff, or get rewarded for putting lands. I think Gitrog Monster is going to love this thing. It says, basically, 2, tap it, draw a card, and then go fetch a card. Of any land.
Definitely go straight into Gitrog.
Of any land. And then it's a 1 mana 3/4.
Lands Matters deck. I mean, obviously it's a good way to even set up, like, in green-black decks, or Sultai decks, or whatever, you know, to set up your nice little, hey, there's my Cabal Coffers, here's my Urborg.
Yep.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get Urborg on 1 turn. I'm gonna get Cabal Coffers on the next turn. Now I have tons of mana. Let's see what you can do.
This,
so it's very good.
Yeah, it's a good enabler for an archetype that seems already really strong. I think lands decks in Commander are actually a lot stronger than now, more recently than they've been.
Yeah, I think they're stronger than most people give them credit for too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, what's your next one?
Let's do Flood of Tears.
Oh,
I was gonna get there.
Oh yeah, they tried to fix Cyclonic Rift. Let's get it.
A better Cyclonic Rift.
They tried to fix it in terms of it being more fair. This is not better, but they fixed it.
I guess. Sorry, a fairer Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
It's for 4 and 2 blue. It's sorcery speed, not instant speed.
Yep.
Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand, so it's everyone's, not just
opponents.
Your opponents.
Yeah.
And if you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you happen to return more than 4 or more things of your own, then you get to throw one of them back out.
Yeah.
I like it. It feels to me like sort of like Cyclonic Rifty / Riskar's expertise.
You mean
I know you aren't
Rivers
drawing
Rebuke?
cards.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I know you aren't drawing cards, but you do get to. Most of the time you cast this in Commander, you're probably going to be putting something back onto the battlefield when you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I like that this, unlike Riskar's expertise, does not have a converted mana cost stipulation. You literally just, boom, put the permanent down, so you can put down the biggest permanent you have in your hand.
Yeah.
So, I think it's
New Dark Cloud says Omniscience for free.
Yeah.
And then you just recast everything else.
Yeah. I think really it is just an attempt to make a more fair Cyclonic Rift. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to come out and say, like, yeah, we don't plan on reprinting Cyclonic Rift, but we will try to give you alternatives to it. I see this being kind of like a budget Cyclonic Rift, because if they don't reprint Cyclonic Rift, it's going to just keep going up. I forget how much it was the last time I looked. I want to say it was getting close to like $20.
I think it is almost 20.
So this is going to be like their budgety version. Or I should say our budgety version, where you're never going to get another Cyclonic Rift, but you can at least find this. And then There's ways to give this thing flash, right? Especially in blue. I mean, Leyline of
Yeah.
Anticipation. We said it was in the set, so it's over $20. There you go. I also love the flavor text on this one. I have wept such a torrent as to scour the land clean. That's a lot of tears. When they said flood of tears, they weren't freaking kidding. All right. You want to do one more? Because I have one that I want to talk about.
Fine, you can do one more and just do one more than I did.
No. Oh yeah. Did I start or did you start?
Yeah, you started. It's okay.
It's fine. I'm the main host. I'm the main co-host. I want to talk about this one because I think you're gonna want to talk about this one too because it's weird. Embodiment of Agonies. Somebody explain to me what the hell this even does. And I'm gonna say what it does. For 1 black, it is a rare 0/0 demon with flying and death touch. Embodiment of Agonies enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each different mana cost among non-land cards in your graveyard. In reminder text, it says, for example, 2 black and 1 black are different mana costs. This is the stupidest ability. Not even like stupid strong. It's fine. I know this is gonna wind up going in like Alicia, who smiles at death decks because it's 0/0 on the graveyard. But it's so stupid to figure out the thing's power. Especially like later in the game when you have a full graveyard.
Yeah.
So if you have a 2 and a red, a 1 red, a 1 red white, a 1 red black, like these are all different. So that's +4/+4 right there. So I don't know. It seems like an ability that's really cool, but like obnoxious to figure out.
It seems like something I wouldn't want to resolve in paper. When Magic Online's just counting it for myself, I'm cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. You just, especially like arena and online, you just get to do it. But I don't know how many times you're gonna recur Embodiment of the Agonies. It's also, I mean, it has the potential to be a 3-mana big flying death touch demon. Again, especially later in the game, or if like you've just board wiped or something like that, or somebody else board wiped you, I guess. But I don't know. It's just, it's a unique yet obnoxious card in my opinion. I must put this in my jank deck. I will make this work. Like I said, Alicia, who smiles at death, loves this card because it's a 0/0 in the graveyard, and then it enters the battlefield, and then suddenly it's a friggin' 10/10 flying death toucher. You will smack some fools.
Really like this card.
Yep. I can't think of too many others. I mean, what is it? Revelar goes and gets. Is it based on power? Recurs the thing based on power or converted mana cost?
I think it's power.
Either way, because I know it's either 3 power or less or 3 converted mana cost or less, and this fits the bill for both of them. And it again pops out as this huge creature.
Yeah, power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, then it grabs this. So like, there's a lot of those like weird little recursion things that you just kind of put this in the deck as added value of like late game. You just get the oh, go get a 0/0. That's not even that great. Never mind, it's a 10/10. And then suddenly it's got lifelink and double strike because it's dumb.
Nothing wrong with a 10/10.
You're what's wrong with a 10/10? I don't know what that meant. But yeah, we didn't even get through half of the freaking set, dude.
Yeah, I got to talk about a lot of the cards I wanted to talk about the most.
I don't know. I was going in alphabetical order, so it was kind of good that you got some of the like lower ones, like lower in the alphabet ones. But there were some other ones that I know I kind of want to talk about. Week 2, calling it now.
Nah.
Maybe.
Well, we can talk about it.
We are gonna wrap this one up though. There again, like we said this last Monday, that this didn't feel so much as just like a core set, but it kind of felt like a commander-based core set. There were, Phyrexian, you said in the beginning that there didn't seem to be a lot of like super good commander cards. I think I kind of disagree. I think there's enough cool stuff for it to be a core set. That's the big thing. It's not meant to be. It shouldn't be the Modern Horizons level of craziness. But there's enough cool stuff in it to where, like, even just the ley lines are big for Commander.
Agreed.
Like, in my opinion. And again, the legendary creatures, they knocked it out of the park with the legendary creatures. Go back and watch last week's episode if you didn't, because we talked about them there. So yeah, that's it. That's all for this one. We're gonna probably do another one next week. Phyrexian hates long, extended set reviews.
I do hate long extended set reviews.
He doesn't like it. Not what he wants to do. He just want,
I'm
you know what?
talking about new cards. They're great and stuff, but I also want to get on to what we do with cards.
Yeah. Phyrexian just wants to do the Villas or Yarok Deck Brew podcast episode that is eventually coming, I'm sure.
I don't know which one I'd rather do.
Who said we have to pick? We just have to pick which one's first.
True.
Come on, this is our show. We make up the rules. Anyway, though, that is going to be it. Of course, if you guys enjoy these kind of podcasts, join us every Monday. That's the big thing, is to join and interact. You heard us shouting out some people in the chat. You can also support us by using our inkgaming.com affiliate link and using the Praetor 10 coupon code. You can also... Yeah, my train just completely got derailed. You can also support us directly via patreon.com/Praetor Magic. It starts at just $1 a month, and it goes into helping us buy cards, get cards for giveaways, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So until next time, John and Danny I think are playing tomorrow at 8:30, and then we haven't been doing the 3DH streams. We've been doing 3DH recordings, which I have then been doing narrations for and chopping up the videos to do quicker videos for YouTube. So make sure you're checking them out, youtube.com/Praetor Magic. We may stream those sometimes. It's kind of up to how we feel on the day, but we will try to let you guys know. Make sure you're on the Discord, which there will be a link to down below, so that you can kind of get notification of when we're about to do a thing, whether it's record and you want to play, or if we do decide to stream it and you want to watch. Either way. You can also then find us over at twitter.com/Praetor Magic, facebook.com/Praetor Magic, and instagram.com/Praetor Magic. Phyrexian doesn't exist anywhere in the world except the Discord. Right?
Yeah, just the Discord. Not
He
gonna add any other social media.
He fell asleep. Yeah, and
no,
until...
the Discord was yelling at me.
Oh, yeah.
On my computer, I was trying to make it shut up.
No, that was me trying to tell you to wake up.
Oh,
wake up! All right, that's it for us for today. Come back and join us tomorrow, where Danny and John are going to do some kind of variety streaming. John's also been doing a lot of streamings during the day, so if you are around during the day, make sure you check out his streams. He's been doing on Mondays the Mario Maker 2, which has been fun. If you make a level for him to play through and put it into the Mario Maker Discord channel, he will play through it and fail a bunch of times, as I watched him fail a lot today. In the fun way, right? It was fun watching him progressively get better sometimes, and then sometimes die immediately. It depends. But yeah, until next time, that's all we got for you tonight. Peace.
Bye.
The button always gets hidden.